Hello, Kinderguppies. It's Mr. McComb once again with another exciting book to share with you. This time, we're reading a book called Night Song, and as you might have guessed, it is about a nocturnal animal. Can you see the picture of the bat? We've learnt that bats are nocturnal animals. Now, when we think about the title, Night Song, and when we think about bats, what do you think Night Song means? Do you remember learning how bats see through echolocation? How they make sounds from their mouth, kind of like singing, and wait for those sounds to bounce back to their ears? Well, this book is going to talk more about that. I hope you're excited, because here we go. The sun had set, and the shadows clinging to the walls of the cave began to wake and whisper. "Cairo, little wing," the bat mamma said to her child, "tonight you must fly out into the world, and I will wait here for you." "But the night is dark, mamma, darker than the moth's dark eyes, darker even than the water before the dawn," the little bat exclaimed, twitching his ears this way and that. "I know it's dark at night," whispered the mamma, "and when it's that dark outside, I can't always see," Cairo told his mamma, stretching his wings. "There are other ways to see," she told him, "other ways to help you make your way through the world." "How, mamma?" "Use your good sense," she told him. "What is a sense?" Cairo asked. His mother hugged him in her wings and whispered into Cairo's waiting ears. "Sense is the song you sing out into the world, and the song the world sings back to you. Sing, Cairo, and the world will answer. That is how you will see in the dark. Now, fly from your cave to the pond where we bats like to eat the best. Have your breakfast, then fly home. But do not go further away than the pond, not unless your song is sure of what is out there in the dark." Then Mamma let little Cairo leave by himself for the first time in his life. As Cairo let go of the cave's roof, he fell into the cold air for just one instant. Then he flapped and turned over and flew out past the opening of the cave and into the waiting air of the night. At first, Cairo tried using his eyes. He tried peering his way through the dark. Long arms seemed to rise up out of the dark in front of him, waving slowly and blocking his path. He could not see around these spooky arms. He could not see over them, and Cairo was frightened. But then Cairo remembered his mother's good advice. Use your good sense. So Cairo began to sing, softly at first, but then more strongly. His song flew ahead of him, and soon he could hear something bouncing, singing back to him. Tall trees called out of the darkness to him. They chanted how tall they were, and how long their branches were, and how wide their rough trunks were. Happily, gleefully, excitedly, he flew through the woods, past pine trees, over maple trees, and away towards the pond. Flying higher now, Cairo saw something sliding through the sky towards him. So out went his song, and instead of being scared as he was before, now Cairo saw that it was only a flock of friendly geese flying through the air above him, out, flying through the air, doing their evening chores. As he flew further from his cave, Cairo heard strange sounds, lines of noise, 1,000 voices buzzing from one end of the sky to the other. For just a moment, Cairo didn't know what to do or which way to go to get away from this. But he followed his own song. In the sky behind him floated a river of whispers, fading away. His song showed him the hydro lines, and he was able to fly above them. The pond was just ahead now. When Cairo finally got to the pond, he was still singing, and he was very hungry. All of the nocturnal creatures were there, above the reeds, above the grasses. Thousands of tiny, flying, tasty things, each one humming a different tune for Cairo to hear. For Cairo, each of their songs sounded like breakfast. Cairo ate well that night. When he was finally full, he stretched his wings again and thought about flying home. But he began to wonder, just a little, what lay beyond the pond? What lay beyond his mother's words? She said not to go further unless he was sure of what was out there. Could he do it? He wondered. So Cairo flew just a little bit further, and the familiar pond fell away behind him, out to the edges of the world, and then he was truly on his own, away from anything he'd ever seen before. Cairo flew fast towards a high sand dune, each grain of sand calling out sound as he passed over it. Cairo flapped up and over the top of the sand dune and out over the water, singing even louder now, louder than he'd ever sang before. Out went his song over dark water, then again and again, each wave on the ocean rising up to greet him, each splash of sea foam becoming like family to him. The sky began to change. It began to grow lighter and cast long shadows out over the shore. With the morning came memory, his mother's voice, her warm wings. Cairo knew, with the night ending, it was time for him to go home, back to his cave, back to his mama. On the way home now, and flying higher than he'd ever flown before, Cairo began to sing, and always he listened. The music of the land below him rose up in all of its many textures, each tree, each cliff, each place he'd passed, until finally the song of home bounced back towards his ears and added its voice to the song he was hearing from down below. His cave's song called out to him from down below, from below the blanketing shrubs and the pillows of moss at its opening, and Cairo followed that familiar sound back into the sheltering, warm earth that was his home. As he returned, his mother caught him up in her wings and asked, "Was it very dark out in the world, little one? What did you see, Cairo?" "Mamma," Cairo said, laughing, "it was very, very dark. But I still saw everything. I remembered what you said, and I used my good sense." And then he yawned and turned his head into the warmth of her body, letting the rising sun's quiet song carry him and lull him and sing him to sleep. Well, Kinderguppies, here we are again at the end of another incredible book. This book about Cairo the bat really let us see what it's like for a nocturnal creature awake at night. By the end of the book, Cairo was brave and confident. He sure was an amazing little bat, and I enjoyed reading about him. I hope you guys enjoyed this book, and always remember that Mr. McComb will talk to you all later.